sometimes you just need to let yourself sink into despair. And I've been talking a lot about fear in the past few months, and this is something that I know much about because, just as I shared before, I have experienced a lot of fear due to a very specific type of trauma of the 90s, of the post-Soviet 90s. And I'm telling you that this silly little saying, which I don't know, I think one of the American presidents might have said, but you know, a broken clock may be right twice a day. So I think the phrase goes as the fear is worse than the entity you're afraid of itself, or something along these lines. Don't quote me on that. So it is true. No matter how much I would hate to admit that an American president was right, I have to admit that this phrase holds a lot of truth in it, because I have sunk into the depths of despair more than once in my lifetime. And let me tell you, it's not that bad at the bottom. And I did feel like I hit rock bottom on multiple occasions. It is a very personal experience for me. Thankfully, everything turned out to be fine. I'm still here. I'm still alive. And I don't recommend this journey to anyone who may be a little bit younger or a little bit less experienced. But if you do reach this point in your life where you feel like you just cannot move on, you cannot go on because of all the terrible things that are happening around you, let yourself sink into that despair and just see that nothing actually is going to happen if you just feel all of the depths of the suffering, be it emotional or psychological. Obviously, be careful. Talk to the people who you trust about how you're feeling. Don't just let yourself sink in unless you are certain that you're not going to harm yourself, because it is a dangerous place to be. It is a risky move to let yourself sink to the bottom of despair. But nowadays, let me tell you, I'm afraid that more and more people are going to be sinking to the depths of despair without understanding that the state of being, this emotional turmoil that we're going through, this is not individual. This is not something that you as an individual have done anything to cause. It is something in the air, okay? It is just because late-stage capitalism, virtualized late-stage capitalism, creates such conditions that life becomes unlivable, right? Our environment changes. I can definitely tell that it is changing. It is not in your face type of a change, but I can feel it for sure. And I know that a lot of people all over the world are reporting all kinds of extreme weather. And I'm in touch with some people who actually know a little bit about environmental science. And they confirm that it is not something that is going to be possible to ignore anytime soon. And it is scary, of course. And if you are also looking at the news and you are seeing all of the devastation that war is bringing all over, with the recent escalation between Israel and Iran also, it is apparent that conflicts around the world are going to be escalating, which means that more and more human suffering is going to be happening. And when we observe this, even as people from totally different places, this is going to influence us. And of course, not consuming media may be helpful, but you're still going to be exposed to this. And it is not about feeling good, right? It is about you being able to process all of that and moving on, right? And trying to do something that can be helpful. None of us are going to be able to stop the war, right? None of us are going to be able to stop climate change single-handedly, unfortunately. Oh, how many nights I spent wishing that I had the magic powers to just turn everybody communist and starting to build the communist utopia without destroying the environment and each other. But alas, I am but a human. I cannot do anything. I cannot really do a lot of tangible things. And sometimes it leads you to the state of complete helplessness where you feel like no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you do in your little local community, it is all in vain. So let the sensation of everything being in vain, let it sink in. Let it rule over you for maybe a day or two. Maybe succumb to this depressing feeling for a little while. But do remember that it is going to pass. No matter how banal it sounds, it is going to pass. Even if you don't do much about it. Even if you don't think, you don't console yourself. And actually what I recommend is doing the opposite. What I recommend is actually thinking your worst thoughts. Thinking, what if the worst case scenario happens? What if everybody I love and respect is no longer here? What if I have to suffer every single day, even worse than I do have to suffer now? And just let it pass through you. Let this be a little bit of a meditation. It is not going to bring any kind of tangible change in your life, but what it is going to do is going to show you that fear and all of these sensations, all of this desperation, it will pass. It is going to pass through you. It is not going to bring in any kind of physical damage, at least not permanent damage, and you're going to be fine at the end of the day. It is not going to erase your marginalization. It is not going to erase your status as a wage slave. It is not going to change capitalism. But what it is going to help change is the state of your mind. And it is necessary. The state of your mind not being always in the grips of fear. It is necessary for us to give ourselves little breaks, but it is also necessary for us to fully, truly feel through our states of being and also learn to cope with them, learn to do things despite how we feel. But in order to do so, you have to learn what it feels like to be at the bottom of that pit of despair. And I've been there on a few occasions, and I've talked to myself. I sat down there feeling absolutely devastated, feeling like I'm gonna die. And I talked to myself and I said, then what? Then what? So here we are, helpless. We can do nothing to help anyone, even ourselves. What are we going to do? We can't do anything. Whatever we've been trying to do in the past few years, it all failed. So what are we going to do now? What are we going to try and do? And a scared part of me was responding, well, we're going to suffer and we're going to die in pain. And I said to myself, what does it feel like? Like some kind of annoying therapist, I asked myself, what does it feel like? And I described it to myself, and I felt all that pain, and I was not having a good time, okay? It was a very dark time. It was not pleasant at all. I really wanted it to stop, but it wouldn't stop. And but after a while, after spending some time in the depths of despair, I realized that, well, I still can do things, right? I still can wake up in the morning, get up, and do a little something that's going to make my life marginally better, my loved one's life just a little bit better maybe, and maybe I can continue talking to people about how, well, you know, if everybody chips in and stops believing all the capitalist lies, maybe something can change. And hope is at the end of that proverbial bottom of despair. It is a circle, right? So despair actually goes full circle and it ends up with hope, because our nervous systems are incapable of processing too much grief and too much despair. So we have to feel some kind of relief, even if it's going to be somewhat delusional for a while. But we've got to make sure that we don't make any kind of rash decisions when we feel this way. We've got to make sure that we do not jump into any kind of conclusions about ourselves or the world. We have to become a little bit more modest, just as I suggested recently, about our own roles on this earth. We're not superheroes. We're not the main heroes. We're all just little side characters. We're just little people, and we have to assume the role of a little person who's going to keep on trying their best, organizing to the best of their ability, doing whatever little thing we can do, and not letting that despair stop us, because otherwise we're going to be fighting against ourselves every single time we try to organize. We're going to project these emotions onto others. We're going to blame others and say, oh, these people are not doing enough, they're our enemy now. Those people are doing this badly, they're the enemy now. So this is going to breed more separation, and what we need is connectedness. We have to be able to connect to ourselves in order to learn how to connect to others. And this really, reaching the bottom of the proverbial pit of despair, it teaches you patience, because you have to be patient with yourself. You have to sit there and nurse yourself as a little baby and listen to all the whining and crying, and that's fine. That is fine. That is still a part of you, and you're not weak or bad if you experience this, because everybody experiences this, especially in the circumstances we're in, and you're not weak for having these kind of sensations and states of being. And being empowered is not having those states. It is getting over them, is overcoming them. And overcoming them, of course, individually is so much harder, and it is unnecessary labor. But we do not live in a society that teaches its members to take care of each other. So we have to make do with what we have. Yes, it is not fun and it's not pleasant, but it is necessary. So I do recommend getting the bottom of the pit of despair maybe sometime. Be careful. Do talk to people who you trust about your state of being. Do not make any rash decisions. Do not come to any grandiose conclusions. But do see that there at that bottom, it is not actually a bottom, because there's no bottom. In a dialectical world, everything just keeps moving in a freaking circle, right? It's a spiral. So you cannot actually keep falling down, 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 because if you keep falling down, down, down in a spiral, you're going to reach a peak once again. You're going to feel better, and you don't even have to do much. You have to allow the magic of nature do its thing, the magic of all of our neurons that have adapted to living on this planet for thousands of years do its magic. So let me know what you think. I hope you have a great day today. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Do take care of yourself and your community first, and I'll talk to you sometime later.